Hey everyone, good morning. We're doing a live stream today to answer some questions that we've been getting on YouTube. This is our first YouTube live stream, so we wanted to take a chance to answer some of the questions that we've been getting on some of our videos and give you guys a demo. A little bit late, sorry about that. Um, so before we start, what we're going to do today is go through a little bit of backstory of the company, of the product. I'll do a demonstration of CarPure, and then we'll get to some of the questions that you guys have been asking. So I'll start with the backstory. If you guys haven't seen our previous videos, I have been doing this for quite some time now. Started the company in 2017, and the reason behind it was really twofold. I'm an architect by training, so a lot of the design thinking comes from my architecture experience back in school and working in the field. But the personal backstory goes from living in a town where, in small little town in Pennsylvania, where we had well water, and my well water, for the longest time that we didn't know, had elevated levels of bacteria. We only found out after my folks had went to the doctor and they found that they had elevated levels of bacteria and it was causing some underlying health issues. So from that moment, we had switched to bottled water, and we did everything we could to clean the well water, but we just had lost trust in it. So ever since, my family had been bottled water people essentially. Once I went to university and studied architecture, we learned about something called biomimicry, which is the study of nature and replicating its function. And I had learned about this beetle that can condense water on its shell and drink the water off of its own back. And I thought to myself, wow, if this little beetle can do that, what if we could turn air into water as well? And it would be an amazing solution to drinking water for people all over the world. So between my experience with well water and my experience in school, these two came together and kind of made the perfect marriage of design and purpose. So long story short, that is how the creation of Car Pure came to be. So I'm going to walk through the unit quickly, and then we're going to get to the questions. So this is the unit here, as you can see. Really simple, really, really beautiful, fits right into my room actually. And it's really, really easy to use. One single button interface, sorry about that. One single button interface, wanted to keep it simple, wanted to make sure it was really easy for anyone to use, kids, parents, grandparents, whomever. All you have to do is push the single button, the unit will turn on, and water will start to pour. Let's see if I can turn the camera. On top of the unit, we have a small little LCD. Let's see if it'll zoom in. I don't know if you can see it on YouTube. Have a small LCD. What it's saying is that the unit's full. It's been making water. It's saying that the humidity is 32%, and you can cycle through to see what's going on. In the unit, this button, as we met our stretch goal at $200,000, this button will be repurposed for hot water, and the front button will have cold water. So that's gonna be really cool, and we're really excited to release that for this crowdfunding campaign, so that you guys will all have hot and cold water. So how the unit works: CarPure, on the back of CarPure, there's an intake area. This is where the air is pulled into the unit that will then get the water removed from it, which will then be converted into drinking water. The air comes in the back, and it's exhausted out this side here. We have a lock to access the unit. It has a child safety, so a sliding lid to get to it. It's a child safety lock, so it's really safe to have in your own home. To get into the unit, you'll get a key that comes with it. So I'm going to open it up and then show you how the unit works. Alright, so on the inside of the unit, you'll see this screen. This is on the back where the air comes in. What's really cool about this is it's our air filter. It's a large particle air filter, so it's going to prevent dust and buildup from getting into the unit. What's also really cool about this is that you don't need to replace it. It's fixed in the unit, and all you need to do is take a vacuum to it if there's ever a lot of buildup of dust coming into the unit. You can vacuum it from the inside or the outside. Unlike other products, you'll never need to change this filter. You just need to clean it manually, which is also pretty cool and easy maintenance. This is the water generation component. This is a really cool process. So what it does as air comes in, it passes over something called a desiccant, and a desiccant can naturally absorb water out of the air just by coming in contact with the air. The way that you extract that water from the desiccant you have to keep continually drying it so that keep pulling water out. Well, you need to heat it. We need to heat the desiccant. So because we heat the desiccant at a temperature of steam or boiling, what that means is that as air comes into the unit, it reaches a temperature of boiling water, which means it will kill viruses and bacteria both in the air and in the water. So it also acts as a very powerful air purifier, which is an amazing secondary benefit. So as the water is made in this component here, it will then go into the stainless steel tank that will store the water for you. And then it will, every 4 hours, it will run through a sanitation cycle. We have a UV lamp in the back there. It'll run through a sanitation cycle, so it's never stagnant water, and it's always at the highest quality. I actually left this unit here for 2 weeks when I was visiting family for the holidays, came back and the water was perfectly fine. Once the water is made, it runs through all of our filters and our mineralizers and our UV cycle in the back to make sure it's the highest quality water, as I mentioned before, with the minerals and the 9.2 alkaline. So again, really, really simple to use. Again, these are the filters that you'll change annually, and the air filter is manually cleanable. Really easy to maintain, self-maintainable, and it's also really simple to understand. So one thing I like to do to show people the water quality is to do a water comparison of Cara Pure's water and a bottled water brand called Essentia. Essentia is one of the top water bottle brands in the US, and they have a 9.5 pH. I like to use Essentia because of the pH level that claims a 9.5, and Cara Pure, which is the water I just poured, claims a 9.2. I'm doing a lot of demos lately. Okay, so this is a alkaline reagent. What it does, it will change the color of the water based on the alkaline level or acidity level. So if it's more orange or yellow, it's acidic. The more purple or blue it is, the more alkaline that it is. So again, this is Essentia water. It's a 9.5 pH. It's a pretty popular brand in the US. So you just drop a couple of drops in here. You shake it up a bit and you'll start to see the color of the water change. So again, you want to see a dark blue, you want to see kind of this shade, that means it's alkaline. Now this is Cara water, Cara Pure. Alright. So as you can see, they're pretty similar, but actually Cara Pure has a darker blue than Essentia does. And the reason I mentioned that we're 9.2 and they're 9.5 is I wanted to point out one thing, is that bottled water, the 9.5 pH rating is at points of bottling. Water quality can degrade over time as it seeps into the plastic, so the minerals will seep into the plastic, lowering the pH level. So realistically, Essentia is more like a 9, an 8.7 or something around there, and we're at more of like a 9, a 9.2. The reason that is because we're in a stainless steel tank where the water quality will remain consistent because stainless steel doesn't seep, or minerals don't seep into stainless steel, retaining a higher water quality over a longer period of time. So that's one major benefit of having a unit, a water dispensing machine that has stainless steel as a tank. So now I'm going to get to your questions. I'm going to try to make this a little bit quicker. We have actually a bunch of great questions that you guys have been asking, and we want to get to them so that we can help people better understand what the difference is between the technology that we have and a couple of the questions that people want to get some clarification on. So the first question that we got is, can you use this without mineralization and pH adding filters? High pH is not good in the mainstream media. So that's a good question. So a lot of people say, is alkaline water good for you, or is it just something that's a fad? We've done a lot of research on alkalinity. I'll be honest, I was a skeptic at first myself, but when I realized after all of the research that I've done that alkaline levels, think about it, if you have the best way I like to think about it in a practical way is heartburn and things like that come from acidic water or acidic foods. So your body can genuinely be affected by eating and taking in acidic things. On the inverse, your body can also be positively affected by taking in alkaline foods, such as, alkaline vegetables or alkaline water. Things like that can really help your body maintain a healthy balance. Versus on the inside, and the inverse again, eating acidic foods can give you heartburn. Alkaline water and alkaline foods can alleviate those kinds of things and acid-based issues. So alkaline water is really actually good for you, and I encourage you guys to do your research just so you understand as well what it comes from. There's lots of studies out there, which is really, really cool. Sorry about that for a second. So to finish up answering that question, I do encourage you guys to do your research on alkaline water. Look at the actual technical scientific studies. There's a lot of great research around it that shows that alkaline water and alkaline food are prevention of cancer because of the ability to create an environment that cancer can't live in. Um, so the next question is, can it also run without the UV light as it's pure distilled water? Anyways, so that's a great question. We, as for sanitation purposes, it's always recommended to have a UV light when it comes to any drinking water product. We want to make sure that the water quality is always at the highest that it is. As I mentioned, I left for 2 weeks and the water ran through the UV cycle every 4 hours for those 2 weeks, and I came back and the water was perfectly safe to drink. We would want to make sure it's not stagnant water. We want to make sure that it's moving. We want to make sure that there's no possibility of any type of bacteria or germs in the water, so the UV cycle is very, very important. Um, we have some more questions that we got as well. Another question is, can the unit utilize aftermarket filters? I want to support this campaign, but I also want to know if the filters are proprietary. So the mineral filter is a bit proprietary. We spent a lot of time curating the minerals in the filter so that it could reach the alkaline level that it is, and that it can also be the specific mineral content, so water profile. I like to say that we spend time looking at 3 different types of water, and that was Fiji water, like Fijian water, so the mineral content in that, which makes it very smooth. Icelandic water, because it has a high mineral and silica content, and it also has very health benefiting minerals in Icelandic water. And then again, Essentia, because we wanted to reach the alkaline level that we were thinking of. So the mineral filter is proprietary. Carbon filter is replaceable, but we offer a carbon filter that fits the unit, so the flow rate is really important there. So the carbon filter that we offer is specific to the unit that works well with it and the design. The third question is, do we have to buy additional filters or can we clean the filters? These filters need to be replaced annually. Things like a carbon filter, for example, you would have to replace the carbon in it, which would be too much of a hassle. So you need to replace the filter, and also additionally, filters such as carbon can build up mold over a year or so. So you also want to change it for that reason. If you have a Brita filter, refrigerator filter, that's also a common thing to do. Um, the mineral filter needs to be replaced annually because the mineral content is constantly being removed as you pour water so that you have minerals in your glass. So that needs to be replaced. The minerals will need to be replaced, yes. So the filters do need to be replaced annually. The next question is, can you accumulate water every 24 hours? I mean, if I can extract the container of water and deposit in another one. I see what you mean. So you wanted to be able to remove the water from the tank so that if it's full, you can empty it and then keep making water, even though you haven't used it all. You could pour it out into another container if you like. We have had questions if we're going to have an additional storage tank added to the unit. That is definitely in the plans. But again, as I mentioned in one of our questions on Indiegogo, we wanted to make sure that we're not doing too much more engineering or design changes so that we can meet the shipping deadlines for you guys. So that may come out in a version 1.5 or a version 2 with an additional tank. But if you need to or would like to continue making water if it's full, I would recommend just pouring it out into a pitcher or a jug and switching it then, or allowing it to continue to fill up then. Um, The next question is, how does it get minerals added? That's a great question. So as I mentioned, there's like a mineral system slash pack in the unit. That pack, the water runs through, and the mineral content is added to the water. As it is added to the water, it's only added once. You never want to over mineralize because then your water can be kind of have this weird smell to it, or it could be a little bit tasty, like I to it. So we only run it through the mineralizer once, and then we run it through a sanitation cycle every 4 hours. So that mineral pack that we're talking about needs to be replaced annually so that you have the highest quality of water at all times as well. The next question is, how long can I use Car Pure? Will it stop after 3 months? What about servicing after I buy it? So as I walk through you guys in the demo, it's really easy to maintain. It's self-maintainable. If you need some type of servicing, we offer technical support for that. And the unit itself is rated for around 10 to 15 years. The main component that generates water is also rated for about that same time. Over 5 to 7 years, it has a 5% degradation rate. So that means after 5 or 7 years, instead of producing 100% of the water capacity that it's supposed to, it'll produce 95%. So it's a really durable material and durable component. The unit itself, again, being stainless steel, is also very durable. It's stainless steel inside and out, and the components that we put in there also have a good lifespan. So again, 10 to 15 years. Um, can I turn off the mineralizer or UV sterilizer and use Car Pure without them? We've had this question asked a lot to us actually, and in theory you could, but we don't recommend it, and we only recommend using it with UV sterilizer and the filters. This is for safety reasons. We want to make sure if there's any issues with the water for some odd reason of contamination of tampering, we don't want to. It would be a liability, and so we always recommend using the unit with UV sterilizer and the mineralizer to ensure that you're drinking the best quality water. Distilled water is technically not something you should be drinking too often, as it will strip your body of minerals, so we have to add minerals back into it. So this is something we highly recommend for all of our units and our users. And the last question, will the desiccant get damaged over time? So as I mentioned in my previous answer, the desiccant has a 5% degradation rate after 5 to 7 years, so that means it'll operate at 95% capacity, which is still phenomenal after 5 to 7 years. Hopefully you guys would have upgraded by then. So 5 to 7 years, and then after that, it'll be around 10 to 15 years of a lifespan, if not longer. All of the components in Car Pure are extremely durable and high quality. And we made sure to choose so as we're selling you, as it is a very premium product, and we want to make sure that it's something that lasts long and it fits into your home really, really well. So those are all the questions that I've got to answer that we've recorded. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask them. If not, I hope you guys enjoyed the session. There should definitely check out the Indiegogo campaign. We have a few days left. We want to make sure that everybody gets in. This will be the lowest price that we're offering it. After the campaign, it's going back up to around 2 times the price that it is there. So we're offering the bottom price that we can offer. We just got one more question. What will happen to the created water if I stop using it for a while? So as I mentioned, I was on holidays for 2 weeks to visit family over the holidays. I came back and I used the same water that was in the tank from the previous 2 weeks. The unit had been full the day that I left for the holidays. And again, it cycled through the UV cycle every 4 hours for those 2 weeks to make sure that the water was sanitary. And I've drank the water perfectly fine, no issues, it was as if I drank it from 2 weeks before. So yeah, it's definitely a really high quality water at all times. We do recommend if it's like a month that you leave or something, maybe emptying the tank, but it's still going to be pretty good water. Alright, so if that's all the questions for today, I hope I was able to answer some questions for you guys so you have some more clarification. If you have any more questions, feel free to drop them in the YouTube video, in the YouTube comments, and definitely check out our Indiegogo page. As I mentioned, it's going to be the lowest price that we offer, and we'd love to get you guys in now before we end the campaign. Awesome. All right, thanks guys. Have a good day, and we'll see you next time.